Okay, so in today's video, we're taking a look at this, the 95X version 2. This is betafpv's follow-up to the original 95X, which I thought was pretty much one of my best flying quads. So how does the 95X version 2 stack up? Well, it's pretty fucking awesome. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here, you're watching Original Dobo. And like I said, today we're taking a look at the 95X version 2. A lot's sort of changed with this, but a lot has sort of still stayed the same. So this is the analog version of the quad. I was hoping that betafpv would have sent me out the digital version, simply because that was the version that I actually had when I first started flying the 95X, before I destroyed it. But anyways, they decided to go with a pusher style frame versus the standard frame that came with the original 95X. So you're probably thinking to yourself, what's a pusher style frame? Well, a pusher style frame means the motors are inverted and are pushing straight down, and the air is pushing down rather than being pulled up in this configuration. So in this configuration, you're pulling the air upwards. This configuration, you're pushing the air down. And a lot of people told me when I first started flying my 95X, I should have converted it to a pusher style. And that was my initial intention, was to push and to make it into a pusher. But unfortunately, I ended up crashing it and I ended up damaging the ESC. So I ended up just scrapping the drone and salvaging the CATX Vista. Now I could probably potentially put the CATX Vista into this unit. However, this thing flies pretty damn good just the way it is. So what have they changed here? Well, essentially the frame is a bit different. You now have a lot more room up top here, and you now have a soft mount in which you can mount a camera. So the camera mount I have here is for a naked GoPro. Right out of the box, it came already pre-wired for a naked GoPro, which is pretty awesome. You're probably saying to yourself, I have no idea what a naked GoPro is. This is a Hero 6. This is actually the Hero 6 that I destroyed a couple of weeks ago. betafpv also includes the naked GoPro case within the purchase of the betafpv 95X version 2. So really cool. I had the first rendition of this case, and I had to say the first version was sort of eh. This version definitely knocks it out of the park, because with this, it's easier to click the buttons and I never have to worry about whether I'm actually recording. So definitely prefer this, and it only weighs about 28 grams. With the ND filter, I'm right at just 29 grams, which is actually pretty impressive. The other mount that they include is this. This is for the Instago 360. So if you have that camera, you can mount it. I do have that camera, although I just find that I rather shoot with the naked GoPro because I get better images out of that than I do with the Instago. Not only that, you got a 5-minute record limit, but from my experience, once you mount a camera on this, you're gonna get about 3.5 minutes of flight if you're using a 450 mAh battery. Now this battery really does help keep the weight down. Could I run a 650? Yeah, absolutely. So what type of motors are on this particular unit? Well, they're 1108 4500 kV motors, which are basically the same as what was on the original version. The stack is unchanged. You still have that standard F4 stack on here. And like I said, it's running analog, although I found that the analog is actually really good. So let me throw up some footage from the DVR and flight test footage so you can sort of see how it plays out. So when I first powered this up, I didn't even realize it, but I was running at 25 milliwatts. Now, something that I noticed is that smart audio is not working on this. So I may have to go in and set the power frequency manually. Now this VTX does go from 25 to 350 milliwatts, but in all of my testing, I didn't realize it, but I was actually running at 25 milliwatts, which is pretty damn impressive. So it definitely has some range capabilities available here. Not only that, I noticed that the video coming into my goggles using the Fat Shark version V5 attitudes were really, really clean, like super clean. There's a lot of detail and clarity there, which was a little bit shocking for something like this. I wasn't expecting such a clean video feed. So I think if you're concerned whether or not that this camera is going to be able to produce really clean images, I wouldn't really worry about it. Now, it's not a CATX Vista or anything like that. It's branded by betafpv, so I'm not really sure what type of camera is actually on here. Same thing with the VTX. It doesn't look like it really has a name on here, But hey, if we're getting this great of an image at 350 milliwatts, I would probably just leave it alone. So let's go ahead and see what this unit will weigh without the battery or GoPro. So this thing comes in right at 99 grams. The minute we add a battery to this unit, we're at 158. Add a GoPro naked, let's see, where are we at? We're still under 200 grams, 185 grams takeoff weight, which is absolutely incredible for something that can shoot 4K 60. Now, if you don't want to use a GoPro and you want to use the Instago 360, this is essentially probably the lightest full HD camera you can get today, right out of the box. You're at 176 grams. Now, there is going to be some benefits of using the Instago 360. Obviously, you're gonna have less drag since this unit has a little bit more resistance than the Instago, but it's going to be personal preference. Obviously, if you use an Instago 360, you're not gonna have to worry about tearing it down or potentially destroying a $300 camera. There is some added risk when you are decasing a GoPro. But I think it's great. Takeoff weight, this is probably the lightest little quad. And I guess the benefit of all this is that you're gonna really be able to hit those super tiny gaps with this. But what I love is the fact that I have a lot of control and I just don't really have too many problems. Now, my testing the motors with the GoPro naked on here didn't get tremendously hot to where I was really fearful. I know with a lot of these tiny little quads that I've had, sometimes the motors get really hot and I would notice performance degradation. I really didn't notice that with the 95X version 2. So I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this. I think the soft mounting does a great job. I did some video here with real steady go and just flying through some gaps and just really trying to push it through its limits. And again, at 25 milliwatts, so keep that in mind. So take a look at that footage and I'll be right back to tell you my closing thoughts. So there you go. I think the footage came out good. Now, the naked GoPro that I have, I did wreck. I'm pretty sure there may be some focus issues happening still. I tried to adjust the focus on this, but I don't think it's really working. So I will have to try to find another lens or potentially decase another Hero 6. I'm thinking about buying another one and just decasing it all over again, or maybe do a decased Hero 8 eventually. But yeah, I think this works and it works really well. You do see some decreased flight times when you do use a Hero 6 decase because you are drawing from the battery itself. So bear that in mind that my flight times will vary. 3.5 minutes or so is what I was getting when I was using a naked Hero on there. So if you use the Instago, you're probably gonna see a little bit better flight time simply because you're not drawing from the battery power, but that's obviously to be expected. I think they really did a good job with this, and it's certainly a lot of fun to fly. And for 179 bucks, it's really hard to argue that this isn't the best pusher style whoop out right now. Now, a lot of people would buy the 95X and convert this over to a pusher, but since the Beta FPV is offering this already converted, I really don't see the point in converting the previous units anymore. Now, if you have a 95X, I would highly recommend converting it to a pusher style whoop, which Beta FPV also sells a kit on their website to do that as well. Of course, you can use the Oh My God website as well to convert it, and that works just as well. But yeah, I didn't believe people when they told me that the pusher was the way to go, and it definitely is so much more stable. But there you go. That's going to do it for today's video review. There will be a link in the description if you're interested in picking up a 95X for yourself. I'm certainly enjoying it, and I'm going to be incorporating this into more of my videos. So I'll see you in the next video. Stay original.